Hello, beautiful mama. Welcome back to another episode of Meant to Bloom podcast. Let's go ahead and jump in this today. I am so very excited to be sharing with you about decision anxiety and decision fatigue. All right. So if you are dealing with decision anxiety, I want you to know that I'm going to share with you several ways that you can go ahead and process through what you're going through. Okay, and some of this is kind of understanding the dynamic of decision anxiety versus decision fatigue, right? Because we are making so many decisions a day. There's so many unconscious decisions we make, so many mundane and unimportant decisions we make, and then there's huge decisions like make a pros and cons list. This is important to make this decision. Where you're sending your kids to school, what kind of car you're going to buy, measuring the safety and the price, and buying a new house. There's decisions. There's big ones. There's very mundane ones. There's very unimportant decisions. And there's unconscious decisions. There's just decisions. Thousands a day. Thousands of them being made. Okay? And I want to talk to you about what this does to us. Because at some point, making decisions becomes difficult. All right, whether it's decision fatigue, which is just making so many decisions, you're just sick and tired of it, and you're like, ask anyone but me. Anyone but me. I don't even care anymore. I do not have the mental capacity to make another decision today. Okay? And then there's decision anxiety, which is where you're actually afraid that you might make the wrong choice. These two are very connected as well. And I want to read to you, not just from experience, not just from what I know, but I want to read to you things I've found across the internet to support this and to further explain a little bit. All right, so Google has been my best friend. Not really, but just in case Google's listening, Google's definitely my best friend. Decision anxiety. So this is based off of, just Google front page answers of asking the difference between decision anxiety and decision fatigue. All right, so that tells me that decision anxiety is a fear of making the wrong choice and the consequences, which can lead to hesitation, rumination, or an inability to make a decision. Decision fatigue is caused by being forced to make too many decisions over a fixed period of time and can lead to anxiety about making a bad choice. See, connected. Some potential causes for decision anxiety include stress, poor mental health, general fatigue or exhaustion, inability to focus or concentrate, and lack of emotional regulation. Hello, we've been talking about nervous system a lot, right? Stress, emotional regulation. Oh, those things go into that. The exhaustion. Of course, your body might be keeping you from making a decision, or as far as mental health in general, fatigue and inability to concentrate, your mind might be keeping you from making the decisions. Yep, it's fun. To continue reading, a few solutions from Google. So Google came up with Google came up with a handful of solutions on the front page to your decision anxiety / fatigue. Google says to delegate decisions. I'm all for that. Go with your gut. I am so for that. Tap into your core values. Yes, sometimes making the decision just means looking at what's actually important to you. Go with that. Make the toughest decisions early. Maybe. I can maybe get on board with that. Yes, the longer you prolong the decision, the harder it's going to be. You're going to be building up all this anticipation, and you're just going to let it kind of snowball into a biggest thing. It's kind of like when they say it's the eat the frog first, which is totally a gross analogy. To me, it's change the litter box first. Whatever is your most... whatever you have the most resistance to, when you're looking at your to-do list, whatever you've got the most resistance to, the one you're least looking forward to doing, do it first and get out of the way. Otherwise, it's taking up all that brain space of you thinking about it all day long, trying to avoid it. and it's actually taking up a greater portion of your day than just the 5 minutes it takes to do the thing. They also say to build habits. I'm assuming they mean creating habits so that most decisions become more automated. They didn't really provide support to that. And focus the critical data first. I would say that means prioritize. Just decide what is the most important thing to do. What is the most important decision to make? Do that. I think a lot of our decision anxiety comes from looking at our to-do list and deciding, what do I do first? And to that, I say, get my Stress Less Toolkit. If you get into the Bloom Room in the free resource library, the Stress Less Toolkit, download that, and you can use the priority matrix. Or I have done episodes in the past talking about priority matrix. I've got blog posts on my website talking about priority matrix. You can just Google it from someone else teaching you priority matrix. So how to, what is that? It's take your whole to-do list and you decide whether you're going to delete, delegate, defer, or do. We do some of the things on our to-do list. Those are the 4 Ds. So that is what the Google and the AI had told me. And I want to tell you what my favorite solution to overcoming decision anxiety is. Okay, so decision fatigue, I do have an episode for that I will link below, where I specifically talked about overcoming your decision fatigue. So to overcome the decision anxiety, my number one go-to about this is building your confidence towards the decisions that you have already made. Practicing gratitude for all the good decisions you've already made. So I want you to pencil out some quiet time, and I want you to make a nice long list of all the good decisions you've already made in your life, and include decisions that didn't feel like good decisions at the time, but turned out to have beneficial consequences. Okay? So I mean, breaking up with your high school boyfriend might not have felt like a good decision at the time. Maybe he broke up with you and you felt really upset about that. Include that now as a good decision to let that relationship go, because it led you where you are now, having babies with the man you've got babies with, wherever you are now. Slim chance that I'm talking to people who married their high school sweethearts and that they didn't have any relationships before that they're happy to have let go of. Things like that. Go ahead and include that on, good decisions you've made. The home you're living in, the coffee creamer you bought. Good decision might just be that you drank enough water one day, one time, and it felt really good. All right? All the good decisions. Maybe you're wearing a sweatshirt right now that you really love and it just feels like it's your jam. If you're watching me on video right now, you'll see that I chose the wrong shirt for the day because it is the same color as my wall. And I feel like I'm a floating head. But my head is basically the same color as the wall too. So I'm just hair and eyes floating on a white screen. This is fun. Anyways, list out all the good decisions you made, or all the decisions that have had good consequences. Okay? Be grateful for the good decisions you've made. Notice good decisions. Start noticing throughout your day. This kind of exercise will train you to keep looking for good decisions that you've already made. Support that. Decide you are a good decision maker. Okay? Your brain likes to prove you right. If you start insisting that you are good at making decisions, your brain's going to look for reasons to support that. Your brain's going to convince you and prove to you, yes, you are good at making decisions. And it's going to show you all the good decisions you're making, right? So another thing to know going through this is learning how to classify the decisions you're making. Learning how to really let go of those decisions that are not important. Just give a few less F's, Like, for instance, making dinner. That is one that I personally have struggled with so many times. I have gotten a lot of decision anxiety about dinner. I end up with decision fatigue by the time it's time to cook dinner. I second guess what I've decided to do for dinner. And there's a lot of layers in that because there's, is this healthy enough for my family? Are the kids actually going to eat it? Do I actually have energy to cook what I'm about to go in there and cook? What happens if I'm missing an ingredient and I have to substitute? That's a whole nother decision I have to make. What happens if I have to clean a pan that I forgot to clean ahead of time? Because of course my kitchen's not 100% clean all the time. What happens if I cook something and my husband secretly hates it and decides to leave me? That has never once been a concern on my husband's side, on my husband's end of things, but it's been my concern many times, and he's had to talk me down from that and really convince me I'm not going to leave you for cooking a bad dinner. He did revoke my privileges of cooking steak because I cooked it too dry too many times, and he's tired of me wasting our money on good steak and then ruining it, which I'm fine with because that means anytime he wants steak, he's cooking dinner. So maybe it was a good thing that I ruined the steak, because now that's one less time I have to cook dinner. Bright side, right? Looking at the positive. So that is really the exercises to focus on. And yes, looking more into the priority matrix when you're having decision anxiety, when it comes to you have too many things to do, okay? So I guess there's two different methods you could do if you're having decision anxiety about decisions to make. If the decision is one of those big, important decisions, pros and cons list is a good way to see on paper what all your thoughts that keep bouncing back and forth in your head are, to just get them out, to look at them, to know that you're not missing anything. And of course, talking it over with someone is always a good idea. And then going with your gut, right? Of course. So many times we make that pro and con list and you crumple it up and you go with your gut anyway. But that's an informed, intuitive decision right there. And then the other thing, if the decision is that you have so much going on, like you're just so overwhelmed you don't know what to do, and that's giving you decision anxiety, this is when you want to do a priority matrix, which here I'm going to go a little bit more into detail about it. I do want you to go get that stress less toolkit, and I do want you to look at that priority matrix page. Otherwise, get a piece of paper, divide it into 4 sections, okay? You're going to have 4 different categories, okay? The do, the delete, the delegate, and the defer, okay? So the do is going to be everything that is important and time sensitive. Those are the things you're going to put in your do column. And then everything off your list that is important but not time sensitive, those are things that you are going to, what's the word I'm looking for? Delegate. The things that are, wait, what did I say? I'm used to looking at papers when I'm looking at this. The things that are important, time sensitive, you do. The things that are not important, not time sensitive, you delete. I'm not going to bother with those. The things that are important but not time sensitive, you can defer to a later date. The things that are not important but time sensitive, those are the things you will delegate. Those are the 4 Ds. Okay? So if you divide your whole list of all the things to do, that's going to minimize what you actually have to do, because you're going to delete some. You're going to defer some. The ones I defer, I like to put those on a Post-it note or a piece of paper and then put it like 2 weeks out in my planner so that I don't have to think about it. It's going to come up. Okay? Cross that bridge when we get to it. And then the things you delegate, go ahead, delegate those. Find someone else to do them. Hire it out, pass it on to your husband, put a list of it on the fridge with a little incentive next to it. That's a good way to get kids to do stuff. I have one kid that's very motivated by cookies, and I have another kid that's very motivated by money, and another kid that's very motivated by competition. Learn what motivates the people in your house and use it to manipulate them into doing the things on your to-do list. That's my tip. And then the do. It's now should be a much, much smaller list to decide from, right? You just took a lot off your plate. I hope this was helpful. And I do hope you go get into the Bloom Room, go to the free resources, and grab the Stress Less Toolkit, because there's a lot more resources in there. But that priority matrix is just, I believe it's the last page, is the priority matrix. Download that, use it. It's a really great tool to have. Anyways, happy decision making. Talk to you next week.